Good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is January 6th. And the year is flying by already. It's an unusual day to do a show, but there's so much going on in the world of sports. I had to jump on this morning. We're going to cover a lot of different things, and I want to give a shout out to somebody in Michigan. Excuse me, Mr. Pat Caputo, long time. Let me get the different screen up here. Long time sports personality in Michigan and in Detroit. First of all, let me before I get into that, lots of topics to cover today. I'm probably going to be like moving pretty quickly because there's so much to cover. I'm going to talk about Tom Brady and Fernando Mendoza, the likely number one pick. Why I believe that that's a match made in heaven. Why that is, I'll get into it. The Cleveland Browns, one of my favorite topics. Nearly a year ago today, where I made the famous prediction on January 19th, 2025, about Shedeur Sanders. We'll get into that again briefly. It's that oldest topic on the block, and it just won't go away. And hopefully that this just ends it all. And I'll revisit a couple of parts of that. How I came up with the conclusion that I did. Now it seems like everybody is slowly coming to the same conclusion. And my only question is, why did it take a year? Kevin Stefanski out in Cleveland, Andrew Berry stays. I got a lot of issues with that. We'll go through what I believe are my top picks for the playoff quarterbacks, my rankings, so to say, and what my criteria is for that, as well as the playoff bracket and the coaching hot seat. And two guys or three guys have been removed: Raheem Morris, Pete Carroll, and Kevin Stefanski. We'll get into who I think is next. Are there any surprises to us? Anybody has any questions? Anybody has some feedback about who that might be? Please feel free to jump in. We should have some people coming in here uh, live in a few, but there'll be many thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people that see these clips in shorts and in reels and in short form video for months and months and even years to come. So I appreciate you watching this, whatever it is that you will see it. Sometimes it takes things a couple of months to catch on, sometimes 6 months. Sometimes, the Shedeur Sanders prediction took a year basically to fully come true. Part of it, came true on draft day. And the rest is now slowly but surely, daily, weekly, monthly, coming true and through. So before I get into the individual sports topics, I want to give a shout out to Pat Caputo, as I said, longtime writer, award-winning writer for the Oakland Press in Michigan. Um, Longtime sports personality, WDFN The Fan, many moons ago, I believe 92, 93 is when the show started, and Pat was with the group there shortly thereafter. 97 won the ticket. Later on, Channel 2, Fox 2 Sports Works, so many different things that Pat did. Pat is appreciated and known for being, his nickname is the Book, because he's like an encyclopedia with baseball. Even had a show, The Book on Baseball, with Pat Caputo. And Pat made an important announcement yesterday and announced that he has fallen ill to stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Why would I bring something up like this? Well, when you get older, you think a little bit different. And I know that I was talking to Jennifer Hammond on the phone, I don't know, 3, 4, maybe 5 months ago, and it was about something different. But I brought up Jamie Samuelson, the late great Jamie Samuelson, and my meeting, not meeting, but when I met him at CJ Barrymore's there on Hall Road. For those of you in Michigan, know that very well. It was the Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield fight, the first one. Had a chance to talk to Jamie for quite some time, leaning up against the wall. A lot of the fan personalities were there, and was just talking to Jennifer about how life is short, and about how that snuck up, and now Pat has revealed that he's been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And so I bring it up because of the Jamie conversation, but also that is what my father was diagnosed with in 1988, 87, 88, in that range, 89. And Pat now has the same diagnosis at a very severe stage of the life of the cancer at stage 4, and I just want to give Pat prayers up. And it's ironic that I did a video uh, New Year's Day or day after New Year's about the phrase that I use every single week, which goes like this, where I say, hug someone, hold someone, love someone, life is truly short. I had my own near-death experience in 2016, and it's the 10-year anniversary at the end of next month, beginning of March, which is why I created the video. And so, Pat, when I heard this news yesterday, it hit me, and I said, I wanted to throw the topic out there for everybody and ask for everybody to give prayers for Pat as he fights this battle, the toughest of his life. And somehow, some way, with as devastating as that diagnosis is, that maybe Pat could be one of the ones that gets a different outcome. So we're wishing you well, Pat. You're in my prayers. I've enjoyed listening to you for so many years. It's actually decades. I haven't listened to you in quite some time, not because you were out there for a while, but just busy and now in the Florida market. Not that I can't find it, streaming some kind of way, but just have kind of lost touch with that. But I still keep tabs, from afar in terms of news like this, and with all the other personalities that I follow on X and other platforms, which is where I saw your news yesterday. So Pat, prayers up to you and your family. We all love you, everybody in the sports world and people's lives that you touched in some kind of way in the enjoyment of listening to you, Pat. We appreciate it. We love you, and we certainly wish you well as you go through this battle. You're one stubborn dude, and if there's anybody that can fight this head on, it is you. So we wish you the best. Uh, and get that, excuse me, get that cancer's ass, buddy. All right, so moving on here. So I wanna talk about the Raiders and the firing of Pete Carroll, the previous firing of Chip Kelly, what's going on over in Raiderland, and this is another famous prediction that I made, which would basically be 2 years ago now, where I predicted that Tom Brady would leave the NFL Fox booth. If he didn't do it at the end of last year, I said he would do it at the end of year 2, which we are now, a month away from the season being over. He's been trying to manage the Raiders from afar. He's been trying to master his craft as an NFL broadcaster. And if anybody follows Tom like I do, he's on my back. Well, I've changed my background here, but on the sign that you see behind me, he's right in the center of that. I don't know if you can see that. I've appreciated and followed Tom's career for a lot of reasons, not just because I do this, but for motivation and leadership and all sorts of different things. And there's one thing that I know about Tom Brady, as I have studied things. Tom doesn't get involved in anything that he does not go relentlessly at to try to master with the highest level of excellence. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, he owns a soccer team, for crying out loud, and he wants to win everything with that. And he did it as a player, and now as a broadcaster. I used to have Greg Olson, number one, Romo 2, Aikman 3, Brady 4, just like, I don't know, beginning of this year. And Tom Brady is the best in the world right now, and he did it in 2 years with no background, with no history. I'm sure he had media experience and talking to reporters, but he never had this type of game calling experience, and it was rough for him in the start, at the start. And what is it for people? For people, things don't always start off amazingly. When I started doing this, even though I had a lot of speaking experience, I screwed up a lot of things. I still do screw up, but but Tom doesn't get involved in anything that he is not set out to conquer. So the prediction way back 2 years ago was that he would leave the booth after last year, at the latest after this year. And I think it's set up perfectly to do that. Why do I believe that? Well, Pete Carroll was brought in as what I had thought was a good move to be a stopgap measure to bridge the kind of the defunct era of the Raiders and help bring it into a new era with Brady being a part of it, Willie McGinnis and some other people as minority owners, but with Brady to eventually become I think he's got 5% to get to 10%, 15, 20% even. And I think Mark Davis will kind of turn the keys over to it and trusts Brady. Well, Tom, I think would tell you, and he brought over Spytech as the GM, and anybody, and I've heard people say, oh, Brady's got nothing to do with it. I'm sorry, I mean this respectfully. You are all crazy and out of your minds. Now it's actually becoming public that he was involved in a Chip Kelly decision, which was $6 million a year for an offensive coordinator. It was a very bad decision. And I think if Tom was on this screen right now, Tom would say that was a horrible, horrible decision. We wish Chip well and this and that, and say all the company lines, but it was a terrible decision, and it ended up being a terrible decision with Pete Carroll. So if Tom Brady was motivated before, which I believe he is 25 times motivated right now. And I don't see him staying in the booth, folks. There's a couple of reasons why. One is he's in order to do it the right way, you've got to be vested all in. You can't be there some of the time, part of the time. You're talking about a dysfunctional franchise, maybe the greatest brand in the history of sports, and it is continuing to fail with you being involved. I am convinced 1000% that if Brady is involved around the clock, that the Raiders will become a epic franchise all over again. And I said it back then 2 years ago. I will say it again. The NFL will have never seen anything like if the Raiders become successful as I believe they will. The NFL will have never seen anything like it with the football team named the Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas and what that will do for the NFL. The tour is basically the tourist capital of the United States. Players will want to go there and play. It's a different life. Tourists from all over the world. It's a global game that goes to Las Vegas, Nevada, and Tom Brady's a minority owner of it, and it hasn't started out so well. So I believe you're going to start to see him slowly be pulled away from broadcasting. He's already accomplished everything he does. He's the best in the world. Troy, the way that I currently have it is Brady is one, Olsen is now two, Romo is three, and Aikman is four. Troy Aikman's the most overrated broadcaster maybe in the history of sports. And I'm talking about the second guy in the booth. I'm not talking like Mike Tirico, who's phenomenal, in the lead, or Joe Buck or Kevin Burkhardt or people like that. Same last name as mine. For those who don't know, Kevin, we're not related. Same identical last name, same spelling, which is just really crazy. And now Tom's number one. And so what is there to accomplish? And how does he get done everything that he wants? How does he get everything done that he wants to get done with the Raiders while doing that? He just can't do it. It's a year-round gig. He's got to be accessible. Will he become more accessible now in, say, a month, 5 weeks? When the broadcasting part is over and, you have the combines and you have the draft and you have free agency, you have all of that stuff. Yes, he would be. But right now, you are in a full-scale search for a new head coach, and you cannot miss. You can't miss. You have the first overall draft pick. You cannot miss. And this is the most incredible thing. I say this all the time to people. I say it to my wife. It's just amazing sometimes how things in life work out. The Raiders obviously have the number one pick overall. And I'm gonna get to this in a minute. And I see all these people, Fernando Mendoza, I got a fourth round grade on him and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, and you had a first round grade on Shador Sanders, and I was the one who tried to tell you guys that he was at best a fifth round draft pick on January 19, 2025, and he was a flyer. And do it at your own risk and your own peril if you decide to take that sideshow circus on. There is more to an NFL quarterback and an NFL player, but particularly a quarterback. It is not all skill set, folks. That's a big part of it, yes, but there's a whole nother part of it, particularly when you're going to a terrible franchise with not much there, such as the Cleveland Browns, who thought that Shador Sanders could come in and do that. You're out of your freaking mind. He doesn't even have the mental makeup and capacity to do that. He's been a spoiled, entitled brat his entire life. Now go ahead and call me racist, call me MAGA, call me. You guys are out of your mind. Know what it is that is limited in talent. but has no ability whatsoever to lead by example and to be the guy that isn't the show, but have everybody follow him. He's not the guy. That's how I knew he was a fifth round draft pick. I actually suggested that he really shouldn't be picked at all. That's not a racist thing. It's not. He was enabled, and I'm getting off track here, and I'll come back to Tom in a moment, but it's relative because Tom was involved in that process. The whole NFL knew Brady got the word out. Brady worked him out. Everybody who needed to be in the know, not Mel Kiper, who I skewered, and it's all over my social. And go ahead and scan that barcode or QR code up at the top. It will take you to our YouTube account, and you can subscribe there. You can see all of my material from January 19th of 2025 up to the draft. And every day since the draft, every single thing I have said, and I'm not trying to like toot my horn here, but every single thing has come true. How did I know that? How did all the other franchises know that? And only the Cleveland Browns didn't know that. That you would not only take Shedeur Sanders, but you would take Dylan Gabriel, the third round pick, Shedeur Sanders, the fifth round pick. You had Joe Flacco pick it, and you had Deshaun Watson, kind of hovering around in the back, and a dysfunctional franchise with no player leadership whatsoever, a losing culture, and you hamstrung everything. Brady is the one who helped diagnose that, folks. So Tom Brady's value to the league and to the Raiders is much greater in an office in Las Vegas, not in a Fox booth. And I think you're going to see that prediction come true as well here very, very soon. I would expect an announcement sometime, and I don't have any inside information on this. This is merely my opinion. I'm adding some dots together, connecting some dots and some common sense. Here's the real kicker to this and why it's ironic that I made the prediction, but now he has every reason and then some to leave from Fernando Mendoza. Let's talk about him for a second. How did that happen? How did it happen that the Raiders ended up with the first pick and Fernando Mendoza checks every single box that Tom Brady would want to lead the franchise that he is a part of and will soon become a greater stakeholder of? It is basically a clone, almost a clone of Brady. This is a guy who is a very, very highly intellectual person. This is a focused and disciplined, young man. He's an adult, but that is just so committed to his craft to the extent that he plays the game last week and he doesn't even know that Oregon won the game prior to because they were warming up or going through, final preparation and whatnot. And it's insane that this would be there for Brady to latch to. We all know Geno Smith was a stopgap. That wasn't like Tom Brady saying, "Oh, he's our future guy." That's a stopgap. That's better than Aiden O'Connell and whoever else they Gardner Minshew, whoever else they put out there over the last couple of years. It was let's stabilize, let's work through the draft, let's get this right. I believe Gente was a mistake. I'm on record for that. I don't think they should have drafted him at 6. That was a huge reach for a team that has so many needs. But Mendoza checked all the boxes, and now Brady's going to be involved in drafting him. It's a no-brainer. And everyone who says fourth round, fifth round, sixth round pick, listen, the guy doesn't need to be an absolute crazy off the charts athletic talent or strongest arm or any of that because guess what? Drew Brees wasn't, Tom Brady wasn't, Peyton Manning wasn't, Philip Rivers wasn't. We go all the way down the list. What is most important to win at the quarterback position? You must be a leader. You must be able to have everybody want to go and do whatever it is you need them to do when you need to do them. Do it. You need to be able to go to the line. You need to be able to recognize everything that's going on. You need to be anticipate where everybody is, where they're going to be, and get your team in the proper protection schemes and in the proper plays and the proper audibles and everything that goes along with it. Shedeur Sanders has zero ability to do this. He's been enabled. He was never coached. It was anything goes. It was his father. It was 24/7. Let Shador be Shador and let him go ahead and play street yard football. It doesn't work in the NFL. And how does it take people all of this time to figure it out? I see Cleveland 92.3 this morning. They finally came to grips with reality. They've been pushing and pushing and pushing, and they're finally convinced. Hey, look, seems like a good kid. He's not a starting quarterback. He's not good enough. He's not a backup. Go ahead and look at my videos. Not only did I say he was going to be a fifth round pick at best, he would end up being a backup, but he would never be a clipboard holder for two reasons. Number one, he doesn't believe that he's second to anything because his father told him how great he was for basically his whole career. And he thought the same, and he tried to convince, well, they did convince people like Kuiper and other people and pulled the wool right over their heads and said, this is the guy, he's number one. And they had people like Kuiper who studied quarterbacks and the draft picks for 40 years ahead of other people of high level acumen and not necessarily in the game, but around the game. The prognosticators, so to say, they had them bought into this hook, line, and sinker, but the league saw through it. The team saw through it. 31 teams passed on him for however many rounds, 5 full rounds until, I mean, you got to figure some teams had multiple picks in rounds, but you get my point is 31 teams passed on him until the Browns went ahead and did the biggest blunder Browns thing that you could possibly do and bring this circus. Now there's actually a faction of people out there. And I don't know if they do this for clicks, engagement, they're trying to make money. I don't know what they're doing. There's a whole faction of people out there pushing for Deion to become the head coach. Like, hello, Deion Sanders is not a coach, you guys. Like, what does it take to realize that he's not a head coach? He has no clue whatsoever how to coach. He's a brand builder. He's a mouthpiece. He's a draw. He's a name to get people to pay attention. Beyond that, he is not a coach. He's not even a mentor to his son in the regards of a football player. He hurt his son's development. I've said for the longest time that Shador Sanders' first love is not football. People say, how do you know that? Well, I'm just paying attention. He's not. Why do I know that? Why do I think that? What makes me think that is everything the guy says and does. From draft night and what he did to his behavior throughout the year, to his behavior in Colorado, to the whole all of this, to being 30-17 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he scrambles for 10 yards and he gets up and he wants to start pounding his chest. Dude, it's fourth down and about 7. He didn't get the first down. But instead, you wanted to make yourself feel so good and get everybody to buy into your hype, just like you and your father have mastered because you're master manipulators. Your father was a great Hall of Fame player. There's no doubt about it. At the cornerback position, what you need to do at the quarterback position is 100 times more difficult than what your father did at the cornerback position. While your dad is one of the greatest ever, there's like dozens and dozens, and those can be found. They're not easy, but they can be found. Quarterback is the hardest position in all of sports. And even if you have somebody that has physical tools, they gotta have the mental tools. And as a longtime former coach, I have preached this until I'm freaking blue in the face. You have to be able to lead an organization. You have to understand that there's 52 other guys, an entire coaching staff, an entire building with staff, an entire fan base, an entire shield for the NFL, an entire city, the stadium, all the workers in the stadium. You are the face of it all. You carry all of that. Those people's jobs depend on you. Other players' jobs depend on you. What your team's level of success is or isn't is dependent on you, whether you like it or not. Quarterbacks actually sign up for that responsibility. How many quarterbacks, even with talent over the years, have faded away, even though they had that talent? I list them out all the time. The Jamarcus Russells and the Ryan Leafs, and to a degree, even Jeff George, maybe the greatest arm talent in the history of the game. I list these guys out all the time. all the time. Baker Mayfield 1.0, he didn't get it. He didn't know how to be a leader. He didn't know how to be a teammate. He didn't realize that it was about everybody else and he was basically last. You want to be a quarterback, that's what it is. And Shedeur Sanders doesn't get it. Now Fernando Mendoza is the opposite of all of that. And Tom Brady's got this thing lined up. I mean, he's got it teed up, and it's all he's got to do is put a good swing on it, and it's going down the fairway 320. And he's going to be in a perfect position to chip and putt for birdie or eagle, even. Maybe not chip for eagle, but you get my point. Get it on and putt for eagle. It's totally set up, and he's not going to screw this up. And all of you out there can write this and write that about Fernando Mendoza, and he is measurables and all that. He is a winner, and pretty much you can say it. If not the best college coach, top 3 or 4 best college coach in the land, and Kurt Signetti fostering an environment where he can become even better. Take a clue, Deion Sanders. You're nothing but a mouthpiece. You're nothing but a guy to do some Netflix special. Like, go away. So I said in one of my videos, 8, 9, 10, well, basically the 2 days after the draft, within 3 years of the start of the season, Shedeur Sanders would no longer be in the NFL. His interests off the field are greater than his interests on the field. That's my opinion, obviously. The second part of that is his talents, in fairness to him, are much greater off of the field than they are on the field. He can go brand market, he can go be an influencer, he can go be a rapper, he can go cut records, he can go do all of that type of stuff. He has the fame and he has the fortune behind him, and I believe he has the love for it to go do that. But you cannot have all of that and be a top flight NFL starting quarterback, particularly for a death spiral franchise like the Cleveland Browns that needs an insane leader. What you have to be as an NFL prospect and quarterback to bring a franchise out of the doldrums like that, you've got to be so special. And it goes way beyond any athletic ability. My guy John Franchella, NFL Franchella, look at those accuracy throws. I love you, John. But that's not what does it. You can make 2 or 3 of those a day. That doesn't make you a quarterback. That makes you a once in a while guy who can make an occasional throw. But more times than not, he's gonna hold the ball, scramble around, play like he's playing touch football or something and trying to get away from people, and you go run down to the street light or the car, turn left. I'm gonna try to throw it to you. He's a chaos quarterback. A lot like Caleb Williams. Caleb's not in the same class as Caleb Williams. I'm not suggesting that he is, but Caleb Williams is a chaos quarterback. Caleb Williams can't play in a structured offense over the course of 60 minutes as effectively as he can in a 2-minute drill, run around and make things happen. So I'm trying to tell you that Shedeur Sanders is far less talented than Caleb Williams is. He doesn't have anything remotely close to the talent level, overall athletic talent that Caleb Williams has. And he can't do any of those things. So he wants to be a chaos quarterback and run around and oh my gosh, it was Kevin Stefanski, and oh my gosh, it was the play calling, and oh my gosh, it's the offensive line, and oh my gosh, it's this, and oh my gosh, it's that. It was all at Colorado. Bull. At Colorado, they didn't have any offensive line, but they had 3 pro players at the wide receiver position. Hello, and he still was nowhere near even in the top 7 quarterbacks. Not even close. But dudes like Mel Kiper ate up all the slop. They loved it. And they tried to sell it to everybody. It doesn't work. So back to Brady. He's going to draft Mendoza and he's going to build the entire franchise around and he's going to personally get involved and mentor him from close. You heard it here. Save it. Bookmark it the same way Shedeur, 5th-round pick, came true. A national show brought me on it because of that reason. Uh, Going out of the league within 3 years, mark that down. Most of these I hit on. I don't get them all right, but most of them I hit on because I have a strong ability. One of my greatest traits is the ability to anticipate, the ability to cut through all the malaise and see what's likely to happen before it happens. When I take all the facts, all the factors, all the indicators, some gut feel, you're looking at data, you're studying it all, and you're putting all the pieces where they need to be. You don't get them right every single time. But Shador Sanders checked every box of what you should absolutely not do. And just one more point on the Cleveland Browns. Like, what did you expect? Like, hold on, let me play this.
And Reese Davis, if
this is from 2 days after the 2025, getting my years mixed up, the 2025 NFL draft. This is me. I'm now using a green screen to give me the studio as I was in that picture, but that's my old studio in Michigan before I moved to Florida. And unfortunately, I couldn't get it all. I couldn't get it all here, and I've lost that studio. And I mean, I've got the mics and all the other technical stuff, but the actual desks. I don't have headphones. I got all that stuff, but the actual desk that was like my sports center desk. I hope to get that back someday soon. But anyways, that's me. 2 days after the draft. Give this a listen, guys. It's a little bit long, 4 minutes, but you gotta hear this. Here we go.
all right. So Mel Kiper, he's taken a lot of heat, and people saying he embarrassed himself, he embarrassed ESPN. Reese Davis, if you saw him, basically told him enough yesterday. Mel Kiper, look it. Kiper used to be one of one. Does anybody remember when Todd McShay came on ESPN many years ago? He was basically the first person that came in and threatened the orbit of Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper for 30 years prior to that at the time was the only guy. Guess what?
Wow, that's really odd. Anyhow, in that particular video, I talk about pretty much everything that I just said. I talk about he's going to be out of the NFL in 3 years. How in the world could the Cleveland Browns draft a quarterback in the third round, in the fifth round, have Flacco, have Pickett, have Deshaun Watson in the background? Like, what did you expect to have happen? So the guy who, let's see, this better play me. I mean, I tested all this before I came on. This is Andrew Berry yesterday. Let's see if this audio comes on.
That can lead to sustainable success. That's priority number one. How we accomplish that with the combination of internal options, external veteran options, the draft, that remains to be seen. But and it's an important position in sports. We all know that. And part.
So he says there in that video, we're going to take the off season and we're going to evaluate things. Quarterback position is the most important position in the NFL. We all know that. And whether it comes from external or internal, we're going to figure that out. And we're looking for a leader of our franchise. Row, the GM, who was just kept on the job, which just blows my mind, absolutely blows my mind, because he hit on some players in the draft last year. Great. That doesn't excuse that you were the decision maker on the whole circus that came to town and all of the quarterback turnover and the Deshaun Watson and all of this type of stuff you were a part of. But somehow, some way, you get to keep your job and you get to say to the world, quarterback position is the most important position, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure we have the right guy. What exactly did you do with the third round pick and the fifth round pick last year, buddy? Why would Jimmy Haslam give this guy an additional chance? What could possibly be the reason? Well, Jimmy Haslam is one of the worst owners in the history of the NFL. That's one. Take it from somebody from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised, who grew up with William Clay Ford and Russ Thomas as GM, and later Chuck Schmidt and a number of other bozos running the circus over there. And drove us crazy for 6 decades, basically 60-something years, until they really figured it out to actually get the right guys in and get the right structure in and it took William Clay Ford, unfortunately, to pass away, to then give it to his wife, Martha Firestone, to then give it away to um, Sheila Fordham, and who understood things in a different way and put the proper people in position to build a winner. And now you have something consistent. Didn't work out well this year, but it's going to be okay, and they'll adjust and adapt, and they'll be better for it. The Cleveland Browns have no semblance of an organization, of structure, of a plan, of a strategy, and they prove that. They prove that by you just never draft a quarterback in the third and the fifth round. I don't care who you are. I don't care how bad your need is, because both the third round pick and, in fairness to Shador, the fifth round pick, you have exacerbated the circus show. And then further to that point, you brought in the most polarizing, maybe the most polarizing person since Johnny Manziel, and historically some of the other guys like Jim McMahon, way back in the '80s. But he had a bunch of leaders around him: Singletary, Wilbur Marshall, Richard Dent, Walter Payton, Gary Fenstick, Dave Duerson. So many of those guys were able to keep him somewhat in the rails. There's Myles Garrett. I said this last night. I got eaten up for it. Myles Garrett is one of the biggest problems in Cleveland, period. And I am not questioning his athletic ability. Can he sack quarterbacks? Yep. Can he get to the quarterback? Yep. Is he physical specimen? Yep. Is he quick off the block, off the snap? Yep. He's all those things. But Myles Garrett has been toxic poison for that franchise for years now. You have to understand, again, he's got to stay on his chest. What you do, we do. What you do, we follow. And the guy, multiple horrible accidents, going whatever, 100 plus miles an hour. Mason Rudolph, everybody knows that. He's swinging a helmet at somebody's head, one shot to the head, and he's going to kill him. They're going to kill him. They can kill him one shot. You're dead. This is your leader. This is the leader of your franchise. Rookie camp this past year. You got Shador Sanders and you got all this chaos going in. Everybody's got hope. Oh my God, it's going to work out. All this, all that. You're in Tokyo looking for an apartment. You're all over social media. You're asking people for their help, for your girlfriend, or for somebody. I don't know who it was for. Like, that's where this dude's mind is at. And so guys are like, yeah, he's so bad. As the Raiders will take him. We just hate him. We hate him. So trade him to the Bears, please. And everybody's like this, and it's just, guys, there's more to a sports player than what they do on the turf or the grass or the court. And I don't know how much more proof you need to see to do that. Do you see the great teams do that? You don't see it. And if you do see it, they've got cemented guys in there as great leaders. So guys like Bobby Wagner, Bobby Wagner through the year, and I'm thinking of San Francisco right now, and Purdy and McCaffrey and uh, you get my point. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, and you've got stability there, the ownership group, and you can afford, sometimes here and there to have somebody who kind of goes off the reservation, but he's not your main guy. And those guys police themselves. The great teams police themselves. They don't allow people to get away with it. And if they do get away with it, the coaches got it taken care of. And Stefanski's hands were tied. Kevin Stefanski is the scapegoat for all of this. He will be one of the most in-demand coaches in the NFL, and for sure one of the most in-demand offensive coordinators. Lions probably sign him today. Like, come on in to Allen Park today. We'll fly you in. Come, we want to talk to you. Come be our OC for 2 years while you take a step back, and we'd love to have you. Yeah, he's so bad that everybody wants the guy, and it's not like going to be a retread situation, folks. This is not like, I saw somebody post this today. It's like, this is so Cleveland Brown-esque. Would Mike McCarthy be a good choice for the Cleveland Browns? Yeah, keep on repeating the cycle of madness. You see, the Cleveland Browns is one of the worst jobs in the NFL in recent memory for all the reasons I've named. You have a horrible owner. You have an inept GM. You have dysfunction and toxicity all the way through the organization. Who would want to come take that on? Let's think about an accomplished coach that is not currently coaching for John Gruden, uh, Mike Shanahan, Nick Saban, and you come, and I don't consider Mike McCarthy as an accomplished head coach. I just don't. Sorry. He's not a winner to me. He was made by Aaron Rodgers, and the guy was never top tier NFL head coach. He's maybe a tier three kind of guy, along with this guy that replaced him and Brian Schottenheimer. That is not a a high tier coach. It's not. There's a lot of guys that are coordinators at best. Mike McDaniel is a coordinator at best. He's not a head coach. Now, Mike McDonald was a D coordinator for a long time. That's head coaching material. There's something completely different, folks. It's like I want to beat my head against the wall because it's the fandom. I get it. It's the fanatic. It's the fandom. It's the the homerness that just that thinks these kinds of things, but you're not thinking it logically. When I was younger, I'm 53, gonna be 54 in June. Before I started owning businesses and coaching and stuff like that, I thought a lot the same way. When I was 25, I guess I thought the same way, to be honest with you. And I was so caught up in the toxic poison of the Detroit Lions. It's like, thank you, may I have another? Oh, so we failed on Marinelli, so give me Mariucci. We failed on Marty Morningwig, give me the wind. And it's like the next one and the next one and the next one. And you're just never getting it right. You're going around in circles like the dog chasing his tail. That's the Cleveland Browns. So what NFL coach of any significance? You have two options as a coach. One who's a retread, who's failed either once or more at another team, or a first time head coach that they're just thirsting to get a chance because there's only 32 of those. And you're not taking the pick of the litter. You're gonna take whatever you can get because you want to get your name in the game, in the hat, in the ring. You want to be a part of 32, so you can't blame those guys. Somebody says, what's her name? Mary Kay Cabot. One of the most toxic problems in the Cleveland Browns organization is her. This is a person who disseminates information as the lead beat reporter for the Cleveland Browns. And on Sunday, while the game is going on and Dylan Gabriel is playing, she is propping up Shador Sanders. Like, you cannot make it up. She posts, I think, last night and this morning, that Jonathan Gannon would be a great head coach for the Cleveland Browns. You're not getting it. You're just not getting it. He had no success in Arizona. He just got booted for 15 and 33 or 15 and 36, whatever it is. He couldn't develop anybody. Kyler Murray, to his defense, Kyler Murray is awful. The guy's been known since he came into the league that he doesn't study. He doesn't study film. He's not your guy. He's just carefree. He should have took the baseball contract. Probably would have been a great second baseman. He was probably a better baseball player than he was a football player. But Mike McCarthy is going to go over and do any of that. He's not. It's not happening, guys. It's not. No big name is coming there. Why would they? So when I say Mike Tomlin gets fired, you're gonna take Mike Tomlin. How's that gonna work out? You're gonna take Pete Carroll. How's that gonna work out? Raheem Morris. How's that gonna work out? Todd Bowles, if he gets fired, let me go ahead and put that up. Because here's the list. Who you want? Who you want on this list? They're all failing in some significant way where they are. Kevin Stefanski is a unique one there. Maybe Zach Taylor is a unique one as well. Mike McCoy was an interim, so you really can't count him. Raheem Morris, he's done it twice now. Mike Thomas been doing the same thing, won a Super Bowl, but he's been doing the same thing for 18 years. It's the same thing on rinse and repeat. Todd Bowles, really great guy. I'm not suggesting that these people are not good people. They're not winners, folks. They don't have it. They're either stubborn or the game has passed them by a lot. Todd Bowles would fit in that category. John Harbaugh would fit in that category, in my opinion. Mike Tomlin fit in that category. Pete Carroll fit in that category. Mike McDaniel would probably today, if he got fired, became it, he'd be the best OC in football. And you could say McVay, but McVay's a head coach by title. Does he call the plays? Yes. Are there other strong minds that call the offensive side of the ball as a head coach? Yes, but they're head coach by title. So there's a difference between the two. Mike McDaniel as a standalone title offensive coordinator, would be the best in the league. As a head football coach, he's one of the worst in the league. So of that entire list, obviously Stefanski aside, who you want Cleveland? Who's coming to save Cleveland? No one. And no one wants Shador Sanders for the 1 millionth time. Nobody wants Shador Sanders. He's not the answer. He will never accept the backup. I told you all that about a year ago. There's too much wrong for it to be right. And they all knew it. And if you don't think that they're all calling Stefanski, if they're even considering it, they have already speed dialed Kevin Stefanski to ask his opinion because Kevin Stefanski, by the way, is a former two-time coach of the year. And this dude has been dealt these cards by this dysfunctional franchise, and they threw him out as the scapegoat. You're the reason, you're the fault, so let's fire you. Because you can't fire the owner, right? And Andrew Berry's his boy, so you're not gonna fire Andrew Berry because that gives somebody that Haslam's comfortable with to take the armor or the shield and block everything. Because Andrew Berry will do whatever he wants. That's what that is, and it's not about winning in Cleveland. Browns fans, dog pound, you're good guys, you're good people, you're good girls, you're good ladies. You guys are in a mess, and I feel for you. It's not gonna change. 92.3 in Cleveland. Said it this morning. I was shocked. He's just too immature to be an NFL quarterback. Look where you been, bro. I mean, I've been filling these guys' feeds for like a year. What are you talking about? How do you not see this? They're so desperate that it blinds them. So the Black Monday targets. Zach Taylor apparently is coming back. The word is McCoy's gone. That's just not going to work. Obviously, Tomlin got another shot and backdoor into the playoffs. Harbaugh, we'll see. I just don't see how you can continue that. And Ravens fans, I feel for you as well because you had arguably top one or two or three head coach of the next 25 years in your building, and you let him go out and you let him leave, and you didn't pay him head coach money as the heir apparent. That's dangerous to do. In fairness to the Ravens, to have your heir apparent coach in waiting behind your 62 or 63-year-old Harbaugh, who will step down at some point. What are you gonna do? You're gonna keep the guy away for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, like a Josh McDaniels type thing in New England. Eventually it didn't happen. Belichick kept on going. He went twice and left to go be a head coach. The Raiders and Broncos, it didn't work. You really can't expect McDonald to wait around. But the problem was is you didn't get rid of Harbaugh because he's a good guy and because he's respectable and he's more of the old cloth, which I respect that. And kind of some of the older fashioned ways, which I like that. And he's a people person and a team builder and he's all those things. But it isn't working, and when it doesn't work for so long and you just repeat the same things, you can't do that in your job, can you? I don't know why they're letting him do that when you had a 36-year-old or whatever, Mike McDonald, 38-year-old, doesn't look what he's doing with Seattle first round bye, and they're right now, I think Vegas is favored to win the Super Bowl. I think that happened, and that's change on the fly too, by the way. And by the way, that's John Schneider. I say this all the time. Les Snead, John Schneider, Brad Holmes. They're a handful of guys that just know what they're doing. How you gonna have Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson go to the Super Bowl twice, win one? You got a couple of years there where you're rebooting. Now you're back after you got rid of Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. You bring in a first-time head coach. Look at you now. So how does that happen? So what is Seattle doing differently than Cleveland did, or that the Lions used to do? They understand how to build an organization. They understand how to put the right people in the right places to succeed. And when they don't, they move them along. And DK Metcalf was one of those people. DK Metcalf is not a number one. I've been screaming from the rooftops before he swiped at the fan. I think that's not factoring into my decision at all. DK Metcalf is a number two. He's not a number one. He's not a builder franchise guy around. So what did they do? They moved him along. They moved Lockett was much older. So in fairness to Tyler Lockett, and we're building our franchise around JSN, and we're going to build in some other young guys. Look at their running backs. They got a dual-headed monster there. Rebuilt the defense on the fly. McDonald is defensive coach, not an offensive coach. He brought stability with Darnold. I've never been a big fan. It's actually one that I was wrong on. I didn't think he would succeed in Seattle. I didn't think he was the answer in Minnesota, to be quite honest with you. But it's worked out, and it's been a perfect fit. And so when you look at these coaches and you think, I like, how's it going to change Zach Taylor's another one, Mike Brown, another one. He's like in the Mount Rushmore of the worst owners in sports. Jimmy Haslam's up there. Mike Brown's up there. I mean, I'd have to really think about this. I didn't plan to discuss this. But Jerry Jones is one of those that they just can't get out of their own way. And so Zach Taylor, I mean, $126 million in Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and you got Trey Hendrickson now that you're paying here in salary cap hell. Um, you got Mike Brown who does crazy things like make your wall of or your ring of honor guys make them pay for their own airfare and hotel to come and be honored to go in the this is just like what stupid leaders do. You cannot make it up. Mike Brown is worth is somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 billion. You pay the $50,000 and get them all there and give them a hotel, would you, you idiot? So like this stuff permeates from the top down. And fans, if you haven't been in business or you haven't been in coaching and you think of something just as a fan and not how to properly run a business and take care of people, you're only looking at it from through a fan's lens. And so and I'm a Jamar Chase and oh my gosh, T Higgins, you had to sign him. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't have to sign him. You have all that money tied up in three spots and you have a defense that's as big. Now Burrow was hurt, I get all of that, but you get my point. Zach Taylor has had to deal through and navigate through all of this madness. It matters who's running the franchise, who owns it, who's general managing it. Then you get to the coach. Very rarely can you have a great coach. Let me see the first one off the top of my mind, top of my head, Jimmy Johnson. Dysfunctional city in Dallas, but he was such a great coach that he overrode a lot of that stuff, and his coaching bled through, so to say. And where are the Dallas Cowboys been since Jimmy Johnson left? All right, where's Bill Belichick? The opposite. Where's Bill Belichick been since Tom Brady left? Interesting, right? Interesting dynamic and dichotomy there. How that works out. Who else we got on this list? Todd Bowles, go be a D coordinator or, just step down, Mike McCoy, whatever, go be a coordinator. Rhea Morris, a lot of respect for that guy, really good people person. He's a good leader. He's good, the developer of personality, or not personality, but, helping people. But there's just something missing. And sometimes somebody has it and somebody just doesn't have it. And I don't think he has it as a head coach, much like Mike McDaniel. Put him in their area of strength, leave him there. Right, and so there's a couple other guys. Kafka's not on here. It's another interim coach for the Giants. This is a crazy one for me. LaFleur and Green Bay. People touting or discussing him, falling off. It's not going to happen, guys. He's one of the best coaches in the world, like top 7. He's not going anywhere, nor should he go anywhere. Let it play out. They'll be okay. Let it play out. All right, so we'll see what happens today and over the next couple of days. All right, NFL PB's playoff QB rankings. I took some heat for this yesterday. My criteria on these and why I put them in this order. There was a few things. And by the way, for those of you joining or seeing this on a clip at any time in the upper right-hand corner there, hit the QR code, go ahead and scan that, and that will take you to our YouTube page. Smash the subscribe button. There's a lot of material up there and a lot more to go up there relatively soon. So the criteria for these guys takes into effect or into consideration their past performance, what I believe them to be talent-wise, leadership-wise, rising to an occasion, making everybody around them better, being able to work through any type of situation. All of these types of things factor in. Matthew Stafford, I think he's clear-cut number 1 right now. I don't think you can put anybody above him right now. Josh Allen has had 2 obvious reasons, and that's another franchise that just doesn't figure it out. You got to get the guy some tools, get him some weapons other than Dawson Knox, for crying out loud. I know he had Stephon Diggs, but you have one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game. Think Dan Marino, different type of quarterback. I'm not saying they're the same type of quarterback, but Dan Marino won his whole career without winning a Super Bowl. Don't let it happen with this guy. What is he, 20, 29, 30? Time's running, man. Time's literally running. Get this guy some players, but he's number 2. Drake May, what a perfect situation to end up being. So I didn't have him high, and you can look at my video 2 days before the 24 draft. I said he was a development away. Those were my exact words. That first year was a development away, I guess you would say. But he's burst onto the scene, and there's no question in my mind. McDaniel, and McDaniels, Josh McDaniels, and Mike McDaniel are essentially the 2 best coordinators in the NFL. And Josh McDaniels, with the head coach and support of Mike Vrabel to bring along Drake May has just been astounding. And dude doesn't have a lot of weapons. He really doesn't. That's system, folks. That is system. That is coaching and coaches who understand how to get max out of less. Like, who does he have over there? You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna go pump up Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, Demario Douglas. I'm a huge Trayvon Henderson guy, so don't go there. Everybody knows how I feel about Henderson, what I said about him, and that the Raiders should have taken him, not with the 6th pick, but 37, or move up from 37 to get him and stay the hell away from Ashton Genty. Trayvon Henderson is head and shoulders the better of the 2, and I say he was equal or better. But now I can tell you after seeing it, he's head and shoulders above. Now you got 2 different teams. I got it. Fairness to Ashton, but he's not. And he's not 6'6", and what did he go, 28? I think Henderson went 28, 29, somewhere right in at 27. 2 picks after Judkins. So Drake May's been terrific. Justin Herbert, I said it 2 days before the 24 draft, not because he got drafted that year, but because it came up in conversation. I said it then, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. One of the greatest full package players in the history of the game is Justin Herbert at the quarterback position. He has everything. He literally has everything. And he's got, no offensive line, and what did they finish out at? 11-6, whatever it was. Didn't even play the last game. Guy's an all world. He's a freaking superstar. Bo Nix shouted him out loud 2 days before the 24 draft and told everybody he was going to be better than Drew Brees. Boy, did I get hate for that. He is a superstar. Can do everything. Superstar. And he's got all the intangibles besides being an athletic, quarterback with a strong arm and good decision making and mobile out of the pocket. He has the intellect. He has the leadership capability. He is amazing around media. What he says, people follow. Sam Darnold, I got him there in the, 5th, 6th spot. Hard to read from where I see. Trevor Lawrence, huge jump. What do you think of Duval? What do you think of Liam Cohen right now? And what he's done with unlocked Trevor Lawrence. That's pretty nice. Jags in a good spot. And you want to say Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas, I like him a lot. Brenton Strange, I like him. Etienne in the backfield, and a few guys here and there, but he's throwing to Jacoby Myers. Like their numbers went through the roof, and they've won like 8 straight since they acquired Jacoby Myers. So that's all that Trevor Lawrence needed, was to add a second guy relatively good. But they got Parker Washington, Brian Thomas. I mean, look what he's doing. So I got him at 7. Brock Purdy, dude. You could argue he's a system guy. Put him on Cleveland. He's not doing that. He's got Kyle Shanahan, who's a brilliant mind, working out well. I got a lot of confidence in him. CJ Stroud's been high on my list for a long time. Injuries, decimated injury core. I think he went through some of that sophomore, but I like him. Jalen Hurts, it's hard to argue with what he's had, and what he's been through, and the experience he has. Jalen Hurts, if you're listening, or somebody get this to Jalen Hurts. When you run and when you are more mobile, because for whatever reason this year you decided you didn't want to run. When you run, not as your first choice, but as a choice, as an option, your offense is basically unstoppable. And you unlock Barkley, you unlock AJ Brown, you unlock Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and anybody else on that team. If Hurts tucks it and runs, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. So that's factoring in. Who we got commenting over here? Well, this is great deep track for the 80s. I will check that out. And Jason, hope all as well. Caleb Williams at 12. I said it earlier. Caleb Williams, I think, is is a chaos quarterback. He's not a structured 60-minute quarterback. I think he's proven that. He's got to run around and he just he excels in that. But you don't run around and act like that in a 60-minute game. 2-minute drill, you're coming from behind, all these fourth quarter comebacks. That's his strength. But you don't run that, during a 60-minute game. You certainly don't do it in the playoffs. That's why I have him that far. And Bryce Young pulling up the rears there. I do not have Aaron Rodgers on there just simply because of his age. I didn't think it was fair to do it. Most of these guys are like half his age. I just didn't think it was, not half his age, but you get my point. And I didn't think it was fair, to do that. So I kept him off the list. So generally your team goes as your quarterback goes. And I could be wrong on some of these. Stafford could have it. All it takes one bad game. All it takes is one injury. All it takes is something just to not go right. Weather, styles make fights, styles make games. It could be a muck it up game. It could be the matchup that they end up facing where it's not a good fit and it's not a good matchup and can't excel. I mean, you can look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This comes off the top of my head when they play the New Orleans Saints. They can't do anything. When they play the Carolina Panthers, they can't do anything. It's just something about those two teams. When they play them, they can't succeed for whatever reason. Doesn't matter how many weapons. They do something with the game plan, and they just get outplayed. They get outworked. They get out everything. It just never works out. That is frustrating.
Of the equation with quarterback is the evaluation part. Part of it is the development part as well. It's the most important part. It's the hardest position to play.
That issue. A couple of more points here before I wrap. It's on a not rap as in rap music before I wrap the show. Aaron Rodgers and some of his comments recently, and I think they're one and done. I just think they had the you're playing Baltimore and Pittsburgh for the right to get bounced in the first round. Something we said for getting to the playoffs, but that's Mike Tomlin. It's either you get to 10 wins and you miss the playoffs, or you get to 10 wins and you make the playoffs and then you're bounced. There's not much there. But there's something about Aaron Rodgers, and he came out with a comment again yesterday. I don't have it here. You can look it up. It's on X. It's everywhere. But the way that guy thinks and processes information and leadership and offense and football in general. I did this I put this up on X yesterday. It's the level of Breeze, Brady, Manning, Rivers, all of these types of quarterbacks. They have an understanding of how to process the game at some ultimately higher level than everybody else. So he gets ripped on because of not taking the vaccine, who he votes for, his dating life, and all this type of stuff. He takes all this, he's high maintenance, and he's all those types of things. You say what you want. I have really never heard a teammate say one thing bad about the guy. He's a winner. He's doing things at 42 that a lot of 25-year-old quarterbacks can't do. And he's not doing it because he has the athletic ability. He still has some of that arm strength. He can't move. He's doing it right here. Philip Rivers just came off the couch and played pretty well. It was shocking a lot of people. Like Rivers is on that list too. Like how does that happen? If you're a young player out there, and my background is basketball, if you're a young player out there, it's important to understand and to look at how to become great at whatever it is you're doing in the sports world. Study those guys. Don't study Shador Sanders and why his jersey's number 1 and he's rapping and the dude comes out with a hat on yesterday and there's this money sign. He does not get it. He doesn't get it. And Jackson Dart, who I'm super high on, dude does a lot of these things. Burrow yesterday, the day before, he's coming on, he's playing with his hair. Dude, go in the mirror before or after. You're the face of the franchise. Can you please act like? And is that too much to ask? You don't go, at a sales presentation and act this kind of way. Oh, it's sports. No, you're the leader of the franchise. You're the face of the franchise. People are supposed to follow you. How you act matters. How you conduct yourself matters. Oh, there goes that old guy talking. No, man, this is something that will stand the test of time forever. How you act, how you conduct yourself, how you lead, the manner in which you present yourself rubs off or affects other people, either positively or negatively. That's the lasting impression that Shedeur Sanders decided to do in his last interview before you basically pack up your locker and you go off to the off season. Is he's got a hat on with a massive dollar bill sign, a money sign. That's the message you decided to send to any head coach that wants to consider to come somehow get past Cleveland Browns are a junkyard Sanford and Son organization run by a horrible owner and an inept general manager with a quarterback that is probably going to be forced down their throat and a Dylan Gabriel in there in the mix as well, and they want to go and shop for more quarterbacks. Like you can't even make this stuff up, and that's who he did, or what he decided to leave as the indelible final impression on everybody. So his first impression, let me just get this out real quick. His first impression that he left at the draft combine was, if you know who my father is, if you don't want me to come change the culture at your franchise, don't draft me, anybody. I say it all the time. They didn't draft you. They don't want you. They don't want your attitude. They don't want everything that comes with you. The circus show. They don't want your father behind the scenes stirring everything up. They don't want it. It's not race. It's not mega. It's not anything. I have a ton of black quarterbacks. You don't have the picture. Well, you can see it in the back there. You got Michael Jordan's on there. Kobe Bryant's on there. Tiger Woods is on there. I mean, there's 8 people on that screen, and 4 are black. Thomas Hearns, 4 black, 4 white. It's not race. It's common sense. There's only 32 of that position in the world at the professional level. You know, count arena football. You want to count CFL and all that stuff, fine, go ahead and do it. Because arena football still exists somewhere out there. The NFL, where every franchise is worth, the lowest franchise in the NFL is worth $4 billion. The highest franchise is around $12 billion. This ain't chump change. This is not recreational intramural football on a Saturday. This is the NFL, which stands for not for long. Jerry Glanville's famous statement, and that's where Shedeur Sanders is going. He's going into the rap business. He's going into the influencing business, which is where he belongs. Way better at that than being quarterback. So you decided to leave that. So young people study Aaron Rodgers, study Philip Rivers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, not because these guys are white, because they get it. You know, Jalen Hurts doesn't speak, very much. CJ Stroud, very laid back. They don't get into very much in detail, in depth, conversation about the quarterback position that way. Russell Wilson does a little bit. Who else we got? Jordan Love's another one I think highly of, but he just doesn't. They don't break it down that way. So find somebody that was great at something, that did it ethically, legally, that made others around them better, and study that person. Don't go study LeBron James. Don't go study Luka Doncic either, by the way. Study the guys who do it the right way. Steph Curry would come off top of my head in the basketball world, 37 years old, still doing it. Steph Curry has done it the right way for, 15, 16 years now, and he's still doing it at a high level. Don't go study Kawhi Leonard. Do not go study Kawhi Leonard. Don't go study James Harden. Choose who you follow wisely. Choose who you study wisely, the same as mom or dad taught you. Choose who you run with wisely. You choose your friends wisely. Choose who you follow. It's maybe it's just me being an old man. Okay, maybe it is, but I see all of this stuff on X, which I have to follow so closely with what I do. And it's like, I was walking, I went to a preseason game, and I walked by, this is a guy actually saying this, and I walked by the merch area, and I saw all these Shedeur Sanders jerseys, and I saw all these people wearing Shedeur Sanders jerseys, and what's your point? The guy stole the most amount of jerseys for a rookie. What's the point? That make him a great quarterback. That make him a great leader. That means he can sell jerseys. His father's great at that. They are master marketers. They know how to get people interested in something they want them to see. And generally speaking, it has nothing to do with coaching for Dion, because he can't coach a lick. And it has nothing to do with quarterbacking because Shedeur Sanders can't play the quarterback position. It's all the smoke and mirrors. You understand? It's all the fixings, it's all the dressing, it's the mashed potatoes, it's the freaking stuffing, it's the pumpkin pie. I don't even eat any of that stuff. And but the turkey's awful, which I don't even eat turkey. But I'm just for an analogy's sake, the main course is just not good. We're gonna give you a good dessert. We're gonna give you a good appetizer. You might have a pretty good drink, but everything that is in the middle that you actually came here for is not very good. It doesn't last. People won't come back. They want to go for a dessert or an appetizer. They'll go someplace where they can buy a dessert or an appetizer. They want a drink. They'll go to someplace they can just get that drink, but they're not coming back to your restaurant. I mean, that's a crazy analogy. I understand. When I spent 8, 9 years in the restaurant business, that's how it works. It's how any business works. It's all the same. It's all relative. Sports is no different. I see it all the time. Sports, business, and life, they go hand in hand. To be an NFL quarterback, you have to be very good at the business side of it because you have to understand how it works. You have to be very, 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 very good at the life side of it because you need that. If you don't have that, if you can't manage yourself, you can't lead yourself, you can't lead 52 other people. A franchise, a fan base, a stadium, an NFL shield, a future. You're constantly being watched if I want to be a part of this or not. If somebody wants to be a part of that or not. It's no different than a manager or a leader of some kind, a CEO in business. Is that an organization I want to be around? Is that somebody I want to be together with? Is that somebody I want to go to battle with? Is that somebody I want to close sales with? Is that somebody I want to close deals with? Is that somebody I want to build with? It's no different. Sports is no different. People get this twisted. I'm telling you, as a long-time entrepreneur, as a long-time coach who won 7 championships, it doesn't matter the level. There's a process by which you have to. I'm not perfect. Not at all. I made a lot of mistakes. Still make a lot of mistakes. I'll make them for the rest of my life. I'm as flawed as they come. But I learned on some of the things that you gotta understand the why and the behind the scenes of something when you set out to do it. And Shedeur Sanders doesn't have it. Fernando Mendoza does have it. He does. And now Tom Brady's going to get his claws into that. He's going to make him even better or help him become even better. He's going to take over what Signetti did. And this kid's going to be a flat out star. And he's going to be the face of the black and silver, right? The Raiders. That's going to be Fernando. It doesn't really match his personality, but it doesn't match Brady's personality either, to be honest. Like the Raiders, I'm saying Mendoza and Brady's personalities are very, very similar. And their whole everything is very the cerebralness, the way they can speak, the engagement side to it, the fact that they both play quarterback, the fact that their skill set is very similar. It's kind of eerily similar, by the way. Detroit Lions fans, the #1 quarterback that I think, or the quarterback that I think that Fernando Mendoza most reminds me of is Jared Goff. Literally, it's Jared Goff. The skill set for Jared Goff does not jump off the charts. And I can show you a whole list of quarterbacks that I don't need to show you because I think all of you guys know it. You don't need to have the best quarterback all the time to win, as in the most athletic or these measurables that are off the charts. I mean, look at some of the things that Brock Purdy's doing. That's certainly not measurables off the charts. Peyton Manning didn't have measurables off the charts. Drew Brees didn't have measurables off the charts. Those are Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Tom Brady, how many has he got? I can't even know anymore. What is it? Six, 7, 2 different franchises. 80 his measurables were awful. 6 round draft pick. Go back and look at their draft picture where he's all like this, and dude's like, that's a football player. He looked like he could pass more for a golfer than he could a football player. And so what did Tom Brady have to do? Did he have success at Michigan? Did he have success at Michigan that anybody thought would translate to what it became? And how did it become that? Young people, how did it become that? That dude has a fire and a drive that few people in the history of sports have had. There's quite a few actually, but it's rare. And he said, what do I gotta go be great at in order to take my stuff to the next level? Nutrition, fitness, in his mind. He needed to take his mind levels and levels and levels and levels higher than everybody else. If I mentally beat people, I can win. If I can diagnose the line of scrimmage and what the other team's gonna do, I can win. If I can anticipate every single thing they're doing, I can win. And I can win a lot. And then I'm just gonna repeat that process. And when they adjust to me, I'm gonna stay 2, 3 moves ahead because I'm playing chess and they're playing checkers. That's Tom Brady, folks. And that's what Fernando Mendoza is going to be, John Frusciante. And anybody else who says that his measurables don't stand out on the charts, folks, they don't. And fit matters too. Like you don't need to be a genius to understand that fit matters. In the fit with Brady there, Gianti, I always say Gianti will be okay. Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, if they keep him defensively. They obviously they have the #1 pick. They're going to have a lot of high picks throughout the draft. Brady's going to be more hands-on. They're going to get the coaching right, and it's going to be the same thing, folks. It's going to be the same thing. So when you're looking for a formula on how to succeed, so to go back to people saying, "How did you?" I get these messages all the time. How did you know? How did you know he was the 5th round pick? Jason Whitlock, this guy, who is this guy's got some small podcast. Like, and I gotta find out, is he an NFL scout or something? No, I just understand people, and I understand how to anticipate behavior, and I understand how to identify behavior and then extrapolate it and look and see, does this make sense for what is about to happen? Does it correlate? Does it translate? And Shador Sanders didn't, won't ever translate to anything meaningful. Fernando Mendoza, he will. And for all you race haters and race baiters, because all of you people that want to call me racist because I have an opinion on somebody who is black versus white, and when I say equally the same things to get aside, it's because you want me to become a racist like you, and I'm not going to become a racist like you. I don't play that game. I'm evaluating the person. I'm telling you all that I have Jordan Love and I have CJ Stroud and Jalen Hurts much higher rated than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has never been in the inside 8 of quarterbacks for me. Not once. And he's still not, because he's not a complete quarterback. And how anybody doesn't know that, I have no idea. Oh, it's the kicker's fault. Oh, it's what's his face? It's Mark Andrews' fault. Oh, it's Derrick Henry's fault. Oh, it's this bike. It's everybody else's fault. It's never Lamar Jackson. It's never Lamar Jackson. It's just not good enough to take an entire franchise on his back when it matters most. Not in game 6 or 7. That doesn't mean anything. He can't do it when it matters most. He doesn't appreciably make everyone else around him better. Quarterbacking 101 at the highest level is to make others around you better. It's actually one of the problems that I have with Jared Goff. If I'm being totally honest, you watch, I'm gonna critique a white guy here, and I just did a video like a week ago about it. Jared Goff, to be truly successful, needs to have people around him that make him better. He doesn't necessarily appreciably, now there's times, yes, but appreciably, like significantly make players around him better. He's not built that way. And quite honestly, I'm not sure Mendoza will be that way. That's why I say they're very, very similar. But that doesn't mean they can't win. Again, back to the fit. Who you surround them with? Do they have a really good offensive line? Can they run play action? Can they diagnose at the line of scrimmage? Do they have the weapons around them to be truly successful? Do they have a good defense with them to put them in good position and not always be inside, stupid turnover? Your defense gets tired and, your team gets so many points and they get so far ahead of you that you're in chase mode the whole game. Takes away your effectiveness, takes away your ability to compete at the highest level and win. So there's a lot that goes into that. That's why I think Mendoza's a lot like Goff. I don't think either one of them makes everybody else around them better, like just takes them off the charts. Very special guys do that. We'll see how Mendoza plays out. But I don't have Goff in that class. These guys, Matthew Stafford makes other people around him better. Josh Allen, Drake May, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. The rest of the list has some development to go on that. But the greats of all time, you can look at them, they make other people better. How about Tom Brady? This is always revert back to Tom Brady because it's one of the greatest stories in the history of sports and it's applicable to life. Troy Brown, David Givens, Philip Dorsett, Danny Amendola, Justin Edelman, Wes Welker, and this is just off the top of my head, Deion Branch, and I'm not even thinking of all of them. Did he have Gronkowski mixed in Aaron Hernandez before he went crazy? Did he have Randy Moss for that period of time? Yes, but for the most part, he didn't have superstar wide receivers, guys. And those guys built careers. They built careers by playing with Tom Brady. How is that? And they tried to go someplace else. Deion Branch got a huge contract to go someplace else. Failed miserably. That is an example of somebody who makes other people around them holy cow better. Drew Brees, Marcus Colston, how about that one? What can Marcus Colston do in other teams? How about Michael Thomas? What can Michael Thomas do in other teams? Not really much. System, that's Peyton, that's Brees, that's execution at the highest level. That's some special stuff. That's making other people around him better. How about Peyton Manning? But he didn't have all the greatest guys either, if we're being totally honest. He didn't. He made other lesser Wes Welker players like that. If you think Wes Welker could go play for, 75% of the teams and do what he did without a guy like Peyton Manning, sorry, Wes. And Wes Welker got to play with Brady and Manning, how many, it produced for both. How many guys can say that? So, young people, go study those guys. I'm telling you, do it relentlessly. It'll help you, if you aspire to be a quarterback, in the NBA, study guys like Steph Curry. And I'll just be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of people to study in the NBA. It's at a point where, the league has been ruined for 20, 23 years with LeBron James. That's the worst example for anybody to ever follow in terms of life, in terms of being a sports leader. It's a catastrophic failure. It has ruined the NBA. People ran by the millions and droves ran by the millions away from the NBA under his leadership. And there's a reason for it, folks. Hopefully, some of the younger guys now, and guys like Anthony Edwards, I think highly of. Guys like Jalen Johnson, I think highly of. Steph Curry still is a veteran on his way up. Cooper Flag, there's some players that Stefan Castle, Wemby. I got certain thoughts about Wemby too. There's some younger players now. Hopefully, the changing of the guard happens. But be careful who you surround yourself with, and be careful who you study, and follow lastly on the playoff bracket. Let's see if I can get this up here, a little bit bigger. I don't have the right. Let's see if I can pop this up real quick. I just gotta go into a different area. See if I can pull this up, and I'll bring it up full screen. And I'll just talk behind the scenes. Bear with me for one moment, please. It's not on the spot it needs to be in. Let's see. All right, Rams in Carolina, they're gonna breeze through them. They're gonna take them out. Green Bay, and Chicago. Just one more second. See if I can pull this up a different way. Sorry, guys. Wasn't totally sure that I was going to do this, but I want to add it in. Should be able to get it. One sec. All right, let's see if I can grab it. Self-production, self-producing your show. This is what it looks like. It's a process. It's a growing process, guys. Invalid file type. You gotta love it. Come on. All right. That should work. Let's see. All right. It's the wrong one. This is what live streaming is like. They say it all the time, right? In TV and stuff like that. This is what live looks like. Sometimes I didn't have it prepared, and that's my bad. Definitely not perfect. A lot to do. It's a lot to pull a show off like this. Never thought it would be this entailed, but do we ever? I don't think any of us ever think that. Every single wrong one is popping up. All right, anyways, I'm not gonna hold you guys up on that. Let's just try one more time and see if I can pull this up big enough. Yeah, that's not gonna work. But if you're Seattle and you're Denver, I'm a little bit nervous right now. Great teams, but that bye, man, that just messes things up. Anyways, from what I can see here, Green Bay is gonna beat Chicago. I really believe that. The Niners and the Eagles are one of the best games. I think that the Niners are positioned to actually beat them. I think that that's a solid shot. These are initial things. I haven't done any studying on it. I haven't even looked at the lines. I haven't done any of that. This is just like first initial gut reaction, gut feel. Um, Rams to roll, Steelers to lose to Houston, Bills and Jags. That's a nice game. That's a really nice game. Um, I think. And I don't know what I think on that. That's a tough one. If you got some ideas in what you think, man, I'd love to hear it or message me later um, on what you think on that. Here we go. Let me get this. All right, so Steelers and Texans. The Texans are gonna beat them. The Jags and the Bills. That's a terrific game. Um, I'm gonna go with the Jags on that. Patriots and Chargers. The Patriots are gonna take that game. Panthers and Rams. As I said, the Rams will take that game. Eagles and Niners. I'm going with the Niners, and the Bears and the Packers. I'm going with the Packers to do an upset. I'm gonna take it through any other round, but that's where I'm at right now. So again, Steelers lose to the Texans. Jaguars beat the Bills. Patriots beat the Chargers. Rams beat the Panthers. 49ers beat the Eagles, and the Packers upset the Bears. I believe that LaFleur will be schemed up nicely, and he will make sure to put them in a position to succeed. And look out for Jordan Love to play a much better game. So that's about gonna wrap it up. Again, guys, if you follow me, great, thank you. On X, it's the number one place where everything goes first. At PB Sports Talks with an S on the end. On YouTube, more and more is going up there. The QR code in the upper right hand corner. Go ahead and scan that with your phone. That'll take you right to the YouTube page and smash the subscribe button. There's lots more that has been going up there. There's a lot more that will be going up there. So we're excited about what the future holds. There's going to be a new membership program that comes out here very soon. There'll be members only content that I don't want to give too much of this away because it's still in development. There's going to be membership only content